Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to look at another horror movie. It's called Blood in the Walls. You can see it is the first time that I have ever seen this film. So with me, we're going into this blind, and hopefully this is a good one. Let's get into the review. The movie starts off with two friends, Jake and Ben. They're looking for a new place to live, and they find this house which looks like it's out of the woods from The Shining. It's isolated and creepy, but they move in anyway. While they're unpacking, they find this old diary. Now, as they're reading through the diary, they find out that the people who used to live here were burned alive by a cult. Now, of course, they don't listen to that, and they decide to stay in the home anyway. Later on, Jake and his girlfriend are making out on the stairs, when all of a sudden some books fall off of the shelf. Then they hear some footsteps above them. They start to investigate, and they end up finding this hidden room that has these weird pentagrams painted on the floor. Later on, they're gonna go ahead and have a seance in this room, because why not? And during the seance, they're gonna summon a demon. They didn't know that the home was built on a Native American burial ground, so that was a bad idea. Then they're gonna go ahead and banish the demon back to hell, but they didn't do it correctly, and the demon is now loose in the house. So now they have to deal with the demon. Now, what's crazy about this movie is that there's no backstory given to any of the characters. Like, why does Jake move into a haunted house? That he knew was haunted, right? He finds the diary and everything. Then he just decides, screw it. I'm still gonna live here. Like, there's no reason for him to do that. Also, why did the previous owner even build a house on top of a Native American burial ground? They don't explain anything. Also, there's this other couple, Mark and Jill, that moves into the house next door. And they also have a really dumb reason for moving into a haunted house. They just see the sign that says haunted house for rent, and they're like, hey, let's move right in. Now, at first, they try to ignore the fact that the house is haunted. But then, eventually, they're gonna go ahead and be like, okay, we gotta do something about this. I mean, I think it's pretty funny that the neighbors call the police to try to get rid of the ghost, and the ghost is just standing. They're eating popcorn, watching them as they leave. Like, that was pretty funny. Now, the effects in this movie are very low budget. In fact, the whole movie is very low budget. Here's a scene where the demon is supposed to be approaching the main character, but it's obviously someone in a gorilla suit walking towards him. Another effect that they use a lot in this movie is they show objects moving on their own, and it's very obvious that they're S-strings attached to every single object that they move. The movie tries to throw in some plot twists, but honestly, they weren't that surprising. One of the biggest plot twists of the movie is when they finally figure out who the demon is. Spoiler alert, it's the old caretaker that lived in the house. And that was a huge surprise to me. No, it wasn't. It was very obvious that the old caretaker was the demon. Like, that was not a hard guess to figure out. The movie is only 84 minutes long, but yet somehow it feels like it's 2 hours long. There's a lot of pointless scenes that could have been cut out of the movie to make it better. For example, there's this one scene where the main character is in the shower and all of a sudden the water turns cold and then we see some scratches on his back. Why did we need that scene? It doesn't make any sense. The acting in this movie is pretty bad. There's one scene where the main character sees the corpse of one of his friends and he picks up his head and he's like, oh my God, he's dead. Then he throws the head down and is like, no, I gotta get out of here. Why would you check if your friend is dead and then immediately run away? You would call the cops or something. I feel like the director tried to go for a more serious tone throughout the movie, but it just comes off as unintentionally funny. For example, here's a scene where the main character is trying to escape the demon, but the demon keeps telling him to stop running because he is never gone, nah, get away from him. And the way the demon said that line was just so corny. It was like, stop running, you fool, you can't escape me. Yeah, it was something along those lines, and it was so bad. Another thing that really took me out of the movie was the score. Like, there were times where they would play the dramatic music, and it just did unfit at all. It was way too over the top. And also they had this one sound effect that they played whenever the demon was near. It was like this whooshing sound, and it was horrible. And before we get into the kills and gore, I want to mention that there's actually a sequel to this movie called Blood in the Walls 2. And I watched that one afterwards. And I think that one is even worse than this one. This one, at least the demon makes sense in this one. Like, the demon isn't the main character in the sequel, so I won't spoil anything. But yeah, I did watch that one afterwards. It's really bad. Alright, now let's get into the kills and gore. There's not that many kills in this movie, but I will say the most brutal kill in the movie is when they show that the demon took the eye out of one of the characters. We don't see it happen, but when they pan away, there's an eye on the ground. I thought that was pretty gross. There's also a scene where the demon stabs one of the characters in the chest. We don't see it happen, but we see the bloody knife afterwards. Other than that, there's really nothing else. There's no blood, no guts, none of that stuff. So I definitely recommend skipping this one. There's really nothing else to talk about in this movie. It's super predictable. The acting is bad. The effects are terrible. There's really nothing else to cover. Oh wait, I forgot about the love scene. So the main character and his girlfriend are making out on the stairs. Then later on, they re-gone nah be in bed together, and then the demon is gone nah appear and be like, hey, get out of my house. Like, it was so weird. Like, the demon was talking to the girlfriend and not the boyfriend. Like, why did it talk to the girlfriend? What was that about? Like, I don't understand. So yeah, I definitely recommend skipping this one. I gave the movie a score of 3 out of 10. I did enjoy the fact that it was only 84 minutes long. That was nice. But other than that, there's really nothing else to like about this movie. It was super boring. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.